I was 34 when my life flipped upside down. For 6 years, I believed Amanda and I had built something unbreakable in our Seattle home. The neighborhood was quiet, our careers were thriving, and we were finally ready to start a family. Then Jackson moved in next door. Tall, muscular, with that perfect smile splashed across his fitness Instagram. Amanda was quick to welcome him, a little too quick. I noticed the changes in her immediately, but I never imagined what would follow. If you are watching this from somewhere in your own life where things seem perfect, let me know where you are viewing from. Hit like and subscribe because trust me, you will want to hear how I discovered my perfect life was nothing but an illusion. Life was good before Jackson arrived. I met Amanda at a tech conference in Denver 8 years ago. She was presenting a marketing strategy for emerging technologies, and I was immediately captivated by her confidence and intelligence. Her presentation skills were matched only by her striking beauty: shoulder length, brown hair, bright hazel eyes, and a smile that could light up the entire convention center. I stumbled through my introduction at the networking mixer, afterward spilling my drink in the process, but somehow that clumsy moment worked in my favor. Our connection was instant. We spent the entire evening talking about everything from our career ambitions to our shared love of hiking in the mountains. By the end of the conference, we had exchanged numbers and were texting daily. What followed was a whirlwind romance. Flights between Seattle and Chicago every other weekend, until Amanda landed a job at a marketing firm in Seattle 6 months later. 2 years after that first meeting, we got married in a beautiful ceremony in the Cascade Mountains. Our wedding was intimate with just close friends and family. Amanda looked breathtaking in her simple white dress against the backdrop of pine trees and mountain vistas. We wrote our own vows, promising to always communicate honestly and support each other through life's challenges. I believed every word we spoke that day. The following years were focused on building our careers and saving for our dream home. I worked my way up to senior software developer at a growing tech firm, while Amanda became the marketing director at her company. Our hard work paid off when we finally purchased our house last year. A beautiful craftsman-style home with a wrap-around porch in a quiet suburban neighborhood. The kind of place where we could imagine our future children playing in the yard. Our marriage seemed rock solid. We had regular date nights every Friday, took annual vacations to new destinations, and talked about starting a family within the next year. We had disagreements like any couple, but we always resolved them through open communication. At least that is what I thought. Our friends often commented on how we were the perfect couple, always laughing together, finishing each other's sentences, supporting each other's goals. When my friend Thomas went through his divorce, he told me how lucky I was to have found someone like Amanda. I remember feeling grateful, believing I had won the relationship lottery. That was our life before Jackson came along and changed everything. Jackson moved in next door on a sunny Saturday in April. I was mowing the lawn when a moving truck pulled up to the previously vacant house. He stepped out of his black Range Rover, tall, athletic build with perfectly styled dark hair and designer sunglasses. He waved and walked over to introduce himself. "Hey there, neighbor. I am Jackson Reed," he said, extending his hand with a confident smile that revealed perfect white teeth. I introduced myself and learned he was 32, recently divorced, and worked as a personal trainer with a growing social media following. He mentioned he chose our neighborhood for its peaceful atmosphere, a stark contrast to his previous fast-paced life downtown. Amanda came outside with a pitcher of lemonade just as we were talking. I noticed immediately how her entire demeanor changed when she saw Jackson. Her smile widened. She tucked her hair behind her ear, and there was a sparkle in her eyes I had not seen in a while. "I was just about to suggest we help our new neighbor unpack," she said, not taking her eyes off Jackson. What followed was Amanda offering to show Jackson around town, bringing him homemade meals because he must be too busy setting up his new place to cook and spending increasing amounts of time next door helping him settle in. I noticed she started wearing more makeup and choosing different clothes when she knew she would see him, trading her usual casual attire for sundresses and fitted tops. At first, I dismissed my unease as irrational jealousy. Amanda had always been friendly and outgoing. It made sense she would welcome a new neighbor, especially one who was starting over after a divorce. I told myself I was being controlling and insecure. Besides, Jackson seemed like a decent guy who always made a point to include me in conversations when I was around. But the knot in my stomach grew with each passing day. Something felt off, and I could not shake it. The first real signs of trouble started about a month after Jackson moved in. Amanda began coming home later from work, often texting that she had unexpected client meetings or was stuck in traffic. Our regular Friday date nights, which had been sacred in our relationship, were increasingly postponed or cut short because she was too tired or had to prepare for an early meeting. One evening, while Amanda was showering, a text notification lit up her phone on the coffee table. I normally would never check her messages, but the preview caught my eye. Jackson asking if she could come over tonight. My heart raced as I picked up the phone and saw dozens of text exchanges between them filled with inside jokes and plans to meet that she had never mentioned to me. When she came out of the shower, I confronted her directly. "Is there something going on between you and Jackson?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. Her reaction was immediate defensiveness. "What are you talking about? He is our neighbor and friend. Why would you even ask?" That I saw the texts, "Amanda, you have been meeting him and not telling me about it." Her expression shifted from shock to anger. "So you are spying on me now, checking my phone? I cannot believe you do not trust me." After 6 years of marriage, she turned the entire conversation around, making me feel like I was being unreasonably suspicious and controlling. By the end of the argument, I found myself apologizing for invading her privacy and questioning her friendship with Jackson. "I am just trying to be a good neighbor and help someone going through a difficult time after his divorce," she insisted. "If you cannot handle me having male friends, that is your problem, not mine." I tried to be more understanding, but my suspicions only grew when we attended a neighborhood barbecue in late May. Throughout the evening, I caught intimate glances between Amanda and Jackson, the kind that seemed to communicate something beyond friendship. When I tried to join their conversations, there was an unmistakable tension, as if I was interrupting something private. The ride home was silent that night. I wanted to bring up what I had observed, but feared another argument where I would again be made to feel irrationally jealous. A growing divide was forming between us, and I had no idea how to bridge it. The distance between Amanda and I grew wider with each passing week. She became increasingly secretive with her phone, taking calls in another room, changing her password, and keeping it with her at all times. When her phone would chime late at night, she would quickly grab it, smile at the screen, and respond immediately. If I asked who it was, the answer was always vague: just work or just a friend. Our arguments became more frequent and intense. Amanda started criticizing me for things that had never bothered her before: the way I loaded the dishwasher, how I folded laundry, even the tone of my voice when I spoke to her parents on the phone. It felt like she was looking for flaws, perhaps to justify her own behavior. Weekends, which we had always spent together, now regularly included Amanda going out with girlfriends for shopping trips or brunches. The details were always fuzzy, and when I asked which friends she was meeting, she would accuse me of monitoring her movements. "Do you need to track my every move now?" she would snap. "This controlling behavior is exactly why I need space from you." Despite the growing tension, I tried harder to save our marriage. I planned surprise date nights, cooked her favorite meals, and even suggested we look at starting the family we had been talking about. But my efforts were met with indifference at best and annoyance at worst. "I am just not in that headspace right now," she would say. "Maybe we should put the family plans on hold until we figure some things out." The stress began affecting my work. I missed deadlines, zoned out during important meetings, and made coding errors that I would normally never make. My boss called me into his office to ask if everything was all right at home. I lied and said everything was fine, not ready to admit that my marriage was falling apart. Sleep became elusive, and I lost weight as my appetite diminished. Friends commented on how tired I looked, but I brushed off their concerns. I was not ready to voice my suspicions. Saying them aloud would make them real. Everything changed on a Wednesday afternoon in July. I had left work early, stopping to buy Amanda flowers on the way home. It was a peace offering of sorts, an attempt to break the cycle of tension and arguments that had become our new normal. As I approached our backyard, I heard Amanda's voice coming from the side of the house near the garden she had planted last spring. She was not alone. Jackson's deep voice responded to whatever she had said. I froze, not wanting to interrupt, but also desperate to hear their conversation. I just feel so trapped sometimes, Amanda was saying, her voice carrying clearly in the quiet afternoon. Eric and I have been together for so long, but lately I wonder if we just stayed together out of habit. My heart pounded in my chest as I pressed myself against the side of the house out of sight. Sometimes you need time away to figure out what you really want, Jackson replied. You cannot make clear decisions when you are stuck in the same environment day after day. I know you are right, Amanda sighed. But how do I even bring that up with him? He has been so clingy lately. Stick to the plan, Jackson said confidently. Tell him you need space to think. A month away will give us time to see if this is real between us without the pressure of sneaking around. I felt physically ill. The flowers dropped from my hand as I silently backed away and went to my car. I drove aimlessly for hours, my mind replaying their conversation on a torturous loop. Everything made sense now. The late nights, the secrecy, the emotional distance. They had been having an affair, and worse, they had a plan that involved Amanda leaving me. I did not sleep that night. I lay awake staring at the ceiling, watching Amanda sleep peacefully beside me, as if she had not just shattered our entire world. How could she rest so easily while planning to abandon our marriage? I cycled through rage, despair, and numbness as I contemplated my next move. By morning, I had made a decision. I would confront her directly. No more tiptoeing around the issue, no more allowing myself to be gaslighted into believing I was the problem. Over breakfast, I asked the question that had been burning inside me. What is going on between you and Jackson? The color drained from her face before she collected herself and fell back on her usual defensive response. Not this again, Eric. I told you we are just friends. Stop lying to me, I said, my voice surprisingly calm despite the storm inside me. I heard you and Jackson in the garden yesterday. I know about your plan to leave for a month. Her shock was visible. She had not expected me to have this information. After several moments of stunned silence, she crumbled. I am confused about my feelings, she finally admitted. I never meant for any of this to happen. Are you having an affair with him? I asked pointedly. It is not that simple, she deflected. I care about you, Eric. I just need to sort through some things. Her non-answer was answer enough. I suggested marriage counseling as a last resort, though I was not sure if I even wanted to save our marriage anymore. Amanda reluctantly agreed, but her heart was not in it. During our single session, she was distant and defensive, unwilling to take any responsibility for her actions or commit to working on our relationship. Meanwhile, the secret communications with Jackson continued. I could tell from her behavior. The same secretive phone used the same unexplained absences. Each day that passed, my sense of betrayal deepened, and with it my resolve to stop being a doormat. After weeks of this emotional torture, I reached my breaking point. No amount of love could justify the disrespect and dishonesty I was experiencing. I deserved better than to be someone's backup plan while they explored other options. 3 weeks of living in limbo had pushed me to my limit. The constant anxiety of wondering where Amanda was, who she was with, and whether she was being honest had become unbearable. I could not eat, could not sleep, and was barely functioning at work. This was not a marriage anymore. It was psychological warfare. One evening, after Amanda returned home late again, with another vague excuse, I decided enough was enough. I sat her down in our living room, the same room where we had once planned our future together. This cannot continue, I said firmly. Either you commit to this marriage completely, no more secret texts, no more lies, no more Jackson, or we need to end it. Amanda's eyes filled with tears. For a moment, I thought I had finally broken through, that she realized what she was throwing away. Then she spoke. I need some space, Eric, she said softly. I love you, but I am confused right now. I need time to figure out what I really want. How much time? I asked, already suspecting the answer. Just a month, she replied, reaching for my hand. 1 month apart to clear my head. Then I can come back, and we can decide our future together. Where will you stay? I asked. With my sister in Portland, she answered quickly. I already talked to her about it. I agreed to her terms, setting a clear return date and expectations for communication during our time apart. We would talk once a week, and she would use the time to seriously consider what she wanted from our marriage. I was giving her one last chance. The following weekend, Amanda packed for her retreat. I noticed she was taking far more clothes than seemed necessary for a month, including outfits I had never seen before and several pieces of expensive lingerie, still with tags attached. My stomach nodded, but I said nothing. 2 days after Amanda left, I received a call from my friend Thomas. His voice was hesitant, uncomfortable. "Eric, man, I do not know how to tell you this," he began, "but I was in Cannon Beach last night for a client dinner and I saw Amanda." My heart dropped. "Are you sure, positive?" "She was at La Luna restaurant. And she was not with her sister, Jackson." I asked, though I already knew the answer. "Yeah," Thomas confirmed. "They were holding hands across the table. At one point they kissed. I took some photos. I hate to do this to you, but I thought you should know." Thomas sent the photos while we were still on the phone. There was no mistaking it. Amanda and Jackson intimately dining at one of the most romantic restaurants on the Oregon coast, 3 hours away from her sister's home in Portland, where she claimed to be staying. After ending the call with Thomas, I checked the location-sharing app Amanda and I had set up years ago for safety. She had never turned it off. According to the app, she was at Stephanie Inn, a luxury oceanfront hotel in Cannon Beach, known for romantic getaways. With shaking hands, I logged into our joint credit card account. There were no charges for the hotel, which meant only one thing: Jackson was paying. I dug deeper and found charges from boutiques in Cannon Beach, restaurants in Seaside, and wine tastings in Willamette Valley. They had planned an entire romantic vacation. My world collapsed around me. I called Amanda's sister, who awkwardly admitted she had not seen or spoken to Amanda in weeks. The final confirmation of Amanda's elaborate lies broke something inside me. I spent that night on the bathroom floor, alternating between vomiting and sobbing. Thomas came over the next day with a few other friends. They cleaned up my mess, ordered food, and stayed with me as I processed the magnitude of Amanda's betrayal. Their presence kept me from spiraling completely into despair. While my friends were there, Amanda texted, "Having good talks with Sarah. Doing a lot of thinking. Miss you." The blatant lie pushed me from devastation to cold fury. I did not respond. Over the next few days, I monitored social media. Amanda had been careful not to post anything revealing her true location, but Jackson was less discreet. His Instagram stories showed scenic coastal views, gourmet meals, and wine glasses at sunset, all without showing Amanda. But the evidence was clear. The final nail in the coffin came when I decided to check Amanda's email on our shared computer. She had forgotten to log out of her account. There I found months of correspondence between her and Jackson, planning their getaway in explicit detail. They had booked the hotel 3 months ago. They had discussed which restaurants to visit, which activities to enjoy, all while I was working to save our marriage. Even worse, I discovered emails where Amanda confided in Jackson about her dissatisfaction in our marriage. Complaints she had never once shared with me, grievances I could have addressed if given the chance. She had been considering leaving me for over 3 months, all while I remained completely unaware. I also found messages between Jackson and another woman from his previous neighborhood, revealing a pattern. He had done this before. He was a predator who targeted married women, seduced them, and then moved on. Amanda was just his latest conquest. As I read through these exchanges, something broke inside me, but then reformed into something stronger. The pain was still there, but now it was accompanied by clarity. This betrayal was not something I could or should forgive. Amanda had not made a single mistake in a moment of weakness. She had orchestrated an elaborate deception over months, systematically dismantling our marriage while gaslighting me into believing I was the problem. I called my lawyer the next morning. While Amanda continued her romantic vacation with Jackson, I took control of my life back. I met with Alan, a divorce attorney recommended by a colleague who had gone through a similar situation. He was straightforward and compassionate, explaining my options without sugarcoating anything. Document everything, Alan advised. The text messages, emails, credit card statements, location data, witness accounts, all of it will be relevant. I spent the next week gathering evidence and documenting our assets. Our house investments, retirement accounts, vehicles, everything needed to be accounted for. The process was painful but empowering. Each document I organized was a step toward reclaiming my future. There were moments of doubt and grief. Late at night, I would look at our wedding photos and wonder how we had reached this point. 6 years of marriage, 8 years together, all destroyed by lies and betrayal. But each morning I woke with renewed determination. I deserved honesty and respect. I deserved a partner who valued our vows. With Alan's guidance, I prepared divorce papers, citing irreconcilable differences and abandonment. While infidelity was clearly the cause, Alan explained that in Washington state it was better to focus on the abandonment aspect for a cleaner legal process. I moved Amanda's things to the spare bedroom, careful not to damage anything despite my anger. I was determined to handle this with dignity, even if she had not afforded me the same courtesy. I changed the locks with Alan's approval, since Amanda had effectively abandoned our home. I also installed security cameras. Not out of paranoia, but on Alan's recommendation to protect myself during what could become a contentious divorce. I informed our closest friends and my parents about the situation. Amanda's parents were a more difficult call to make, but I felt they deserved to know the truth from me before hearing her version. By the time Amanda's month of reflection was nearing its end, I was prepared for what would come next. 5 weeks after her departure, a week longer than the agreed-upon time, I received a text from Amanda saying she would be home the following day. She made no mention of being a week late, nor did she acknowledge that she had been lying about her whereabouts. When her Uber pulled up to our house the next afternoon, I watched through the window as she paid the driver and walked confidently to the door. Her expression changed to confusion when her key did not work. She knocked, increasingly frantic, and finally called my phone. I opened the door, calmly blocking the entrance. "Hello, Amanda." "My key does not work," she said, attempting to move past me into the house. "I changed the locks," I replied. "You can come in to talk, but this is not your home anymore." Her face registered shock as she entered and saw the living room. Photos of us. Removed from the walls, her decorative touches packed away. I had reclaimed the space as my own. "What is going on?" she demanded. Without a word, I handed her the manila envelope containing the divorce papers. She stared at it, not taking it from my hand. "What is this divorce papers?" I said calmly. "I am filing for divorce." Because I took some time to think, we agreed to this break. Her indignation seemed genuine, as if she truly believed her own lies. "No, Amanda. Because you spent the last 5 weeks at Stephanie Inn in Cannon Beach with Jackson. Because you have been having an affair for months. Because you systematically lied to me while planning to leave." The color drained from her face. "That is not. It was not what it looked like," she stammered. "I just needed to clear my head." "Save it," I said, my voice steady. "Thomas saw you together. At La Luna. I have the photos. I also have your emails planning this trip months ago. And I know about Jackson's history of doing this with other married women." Her shock gave way to tears. Not the controlled, manipulative tears I had seen before, but ugly, desperate sobbing, as she realized her carefully constructed lies were completely exposed. "It was a mistake," she cried. "A terrible mistake. Jackson is not who I thought he was. He started talking to another woman while we were there. He never intended to be with me, long term." So there it was, not remorse for betraying me, but anger at being betrayed herself. Jackson had moved on to his next target, leaving Amanda to crawl back to her safety net, me. "I am not your backup plan," I said quietly. "I deserve better than that. We can fix this," she pleaded, grabbing my arm. "We can go to counseling, rebuild trust. 6 years of marriage is worth fighting for. You were not fighting for it when you were planning your getaway, or when you were criticizing me to Jackson, or when you were lying about staying with your sister," I replied. "The time to fight for our marriage was before you destroyed it." Over the next several days, Amanda cycled through every emotional tactic imaginable. She cried, raged, bargained, and when none of that worked, enlisted her family to pressure me. Her mother called begging me to reconsider and not throw away a marriage over one mistake. Her father suggested I was being unnecessarily punitive and should man up and work it out. I remained firm in my decision. This was not about punishment or revenge. It was about self-respect and recognizing that some betrayals cannot be undone. The trust was irreparably broken. The weeks that followed were difficult. Moving through the divorce process brought financial stress and emotional turmoil. There were days I questioned my decision, especially when Amanda would reach out with nostalgic references to our happy times or updates about her therapy sessions where she claimed to be working on herself. But with each passing day, I grew more confident in my choice. I reconnected with friends I had neglected during the tumultuous final months of my marriage. I threw myself into my work, earning recognition and eventually a promotion. I started running again, something I had enjoyed before meeting Amanda, but had abandoned due to our busy schedules. I also began therapy, working through the trauma of betrayal and examining the red flags I had missed. My therapist helped me understand that Amanda's behavior, the gaslighting, the blame, shifting, the emotional manipulation, followed classic patterns of emotional abuse. This realization was both painful and liberating. 6 months after filing for divorce, it was finalized. Amanda made a last-ditch effort to reconcile the day before our court date, showing up at my office with tears and promises of change. I listened politely but remained unmoved. The woman I had loved was gone. Perhaps she had never really existed at all. As for Jackson, he moved away 3 months after the divorce filing. Apparently, word had spread about his predatory behavior, and he was no longer welcome in the neighborhood. The last I heard, he had relocated to another upscale suburb, likely in search of his next married target. In the year since my divorce was finalized, I have rebuilt my life piece by piece. I sold our house and bought a smaller but more modern condo downtown, closer to my office and the vibrant city life I now enjoy. I have taken up rock climbing, joined a book club, and even cautiously begun dating again. The pain has not completely disappeared, but it has transformed into something valuable. Wisdom. I now recognize the signs of dishonesty and manipulation. I understand the importance of self-respect in relationships. Most importantly, I know that walking away from someone who does not value you is not failure. It is an act of self-love. If you have ever been treated as someone's second choice or backup plan, know that you deserve more. Real love does not involve deception or treating someone as an option. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is walk away from a relationship that diminishes you, no matter how much history or emotion is involved. Life after betrayal is not easy, but it can be beautiful in its own way. I'm not the same person I was when this journey began. I am stronger, wiser, and more authentic. The future remains unwritten, but now I am the one holding the pen. Have you ever been in a situation where you had to choose between self-respect and trying to save a relationship? I would love to hear your stories in the comments below. If this resonated with you, please like this video and subscribe to the channel for more real-life experiences and lessons. Share it with someone who might need to hear that they deserve to be someone's first choice, never their backup plan. Thank you for listening to my story, and remember, choosing yourself is not selfish, it is necessary.